Whew. Welcome, everyone. Welcome to Reality Spirituality. I'm your host, global happiness specialist, inner peace practitioner, oracle, but most importantly, a student, ongoing student. You should see me. I need two more arms. I'm holding up the phone. I'm holding up the house phone. I'm holding up the cell phone. Oh, Lord. And oh, by the way, if you're listening to me live on Noom Vibe, you can go to my YouTube channel. What? You can go to my YouTube channel and I'm live there too. Oh, with the hat turned backwards, little lipstick on, little paint makes you what you ain't. Oh my goodness. Okay, so this show is growing leaps and bounds. Welcome to all the new listeners, new audience. Welcome to my world. Happiness specialist. Who the hell does she think she is? That's impossible. Happiness. I don't even like that word happy. It should be joy. Let me just say this. The good news is when I talk about happiness, I'm referring to a personal vibration of inner peace and contentment, an energy of peace, an energy of contentment, regardless of what happens. This is all an inside job, baby. Let me just slow down a little bit. I don't know about you, but when I was younger, remember when you used to blow out the candles? I still do. Remember when you used to blow out the candles and make a wish on your birthday cake? Well, I wish for the same two things. I wanted to live to my potential and I wanted to be happy. And so this happiness journey, this happiness search has been 45 years of discovering the truth about happiness. Oh, by the way, before you turn me off and before you leave the show, let me share that the book, Program for Unhappiness, will be published, will be online in a matter of 24, 48 hours. I had some formatting issues, and anyway, they are going to get resolved. And that's one of the topics for today's show. The topic of today's show is self-inflicted wounds plus the illusion of stress. What do you mean the illusion? Stress is an illusion. Stress is real. No, it's an illusion. And so that's one of the things that I share on the show is the programming that we've all received. And in that book, Program for Unhappiness, Exposing the Untold Truth, another shameless plug, I list 55, it's really 56, 55 program behaviors that have been proven to subtract from my happiness, your happiness. And again, when I talk about happiness, I'm talking about an energy of contentment, of satisfaction, of trust, of surrendering, of calm in all moments. And that is possible because the good news is, my dear listeners, the good news is happiness is a practice skill. And all I'm doing here on this planet is to share what I've learned and to share with as many people as are interested what to practice. Oh, if you want to speak with, again, I'm live on YouTube, and my YouTube channel is Rebecca Norrington, ReBeccaNorrington. And if you want to speak with me live, let's see, the number to call in is, I'm so funny. I mean, click here, click there. I'm looking at 3 different screens. The number to call in and speak with me live is area code 646 564 9619. Again, area code 646 564 9619. Let me get back to happiness and give you a brief introduction before we go on. My definition of happiness. Oh, and if you are on Noom, let me see, hold on a second. What's this? I have a message. I have a message. What's my message? Let me check my messages right now if I can. What is this message? Beep, beep, beep. Because sometimes people can't hear it here. And so they send me messages. We can't hear you, Rebecca. Okay, so back to the definition. Let me share with you my definition of happiness. And I realize we are as different as our fingerprints. My definition of happiness is the ability to vibrate an energy of peace, regardless of what happens and regardless of what doesn't happen. Life is constantly up and down. It is a roller coaster of not only events, circumstances, emotions. It's up and down, but is it possible to stay rooted? And when I say rooted, imagine my favorite trees, the redwoods. Imagine a redwood, imagine the roots, your roots, rooted in contentment, rooted in peace, rooted in trust, rooted in that, and when I say rooted, I mean unshakable, rooted in the belief and the knowing and the practice that regardless of what happens, your vibration and your energy stays the same. Is it possible? Yes, with practice, of course. And if I can do it, my dear audience, if I can do it, you can do it. Again, if you want to speak with me live, the number to call in is area code 646 564 9619. And if you are listening on blog, you can also just press the number 1 to speak live. And again, if you want to look at me live on YouTube, on my YouTube channel, I'm live, looking all crazy too. I got my gray dyed yesterday, so I have my baseball hat turned backwards, put a little lipstick on. Anyway, back to the show. Oh, and if you want to speak with me on Noom Vibe, you know what to do. Just ask to be added to the stage. Let me just a couple of things, especially because there's a lot of new people finding me, and thank you. Hold on a second. You can Google this study. I always share it at the beginning of the show. It is, you can Google it. It's called The 5 Most Common Regrets of the Dying. The 5 Most Common Regrets of the Dying. And so the study was done by a hospice nurse, and she asked her patients who had days, weeks, months to live, what are your biggest regrets? And with that, these 5 regrets kept coming up over and over and over again. And they are, thank you for asking. Number 1, I wish I would have pursued my dreams and aspirations and not the life others expected of me. Number 2, I wish I didn't work so hard. Shout out to all my workaholics out there. I wish I didn't work so hard. I don't have that issue. Thank goodness. Number 3, I wish I had the courage to express my feelings and speak my mind. Number 4, I wish I would have stayed in touch with my friends. And number 5, And I always add that stayed in touch with my friends. I've got friends that are grandfathered in. However, if you are serious about evolving your consciousness, your expanding, growing, you will leave some people behind. Nothing's wrong with them, nothing's wrong with you, but it's just compatible energy. Either your energy is compatible or it's not. And number 5, which is why I'm here. I wish I would have allowed myself to be happier. Can you imagine getting to the end and wish you would have been happier? Well, let's do it. Let's jump on this happiness right now. And that's really my purpose in sharing. And so, with that, the book Program for Unhappiness, which will be out within days. Program for Unhappiness. In that book, I said this earlier, 55 program behaviors. So happiness, inner peace. The good news is happiness, inner peace, and contentment are all practice skills. And like any other skills, the more you commit to the practice, the better the results. So the question to ask yourself is, are you ready to prioritize happiness, contentment, inner peace over everything else? Everything. Family, health, money, all of those programmed uh, mm, uh, things that the world says success is really important. Are you ready to commit to the practice? And so only you, my dear listener, can answer that question. For me, it's number 1. And the first part of this practice is to gradually eliminate all of the one by one, having patience, one by one, all of the behaviors that have been proven to subtract from happiness. And in the book, I list, and there's 3 levels: level 1, level 2, level 3. Level 1, it's for all of you wonderful, oh, I love you. Getting all choked up. I love you civilians. I call them civilians. People that people that realize that worrying doesn't do any good, but they're going to worry anyway. So level 1, level 2, and level 3 for people that have been on this journey of I don't want to say improvement, self-discovery and growth, and are constantly learning and growing. The other thing that I want to share before I get into today's content, which is self-inflicted wounds and the illusion of stress. I get questions. Oh, and I loved questions. Please send me your questions. You can email me your questions at rln at RebeccaNorrington.com, rln at RebeccaNorrington.com. And these are the questions that I received this week. Oh, where are my questions? I had them right here. Hold on a second. Beep, 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 beep. Oh, yes, here we go. Oh, and before I forget, next week, I'm having a guest. His name is John Davis, and he has been interviewed. He's been on YouTube. You could probably Google him or search for him on YouTube, but he's had a near-death experience. And I listened to his interview. It's on a couple of other channels, and it was fascinating. And so he is going to be my guest. And if you've listened to me, I don't have too many guests on the show, but his message is so powerful, near-death experience, and what he learned and what he wants to share with as many people as possible about the experience and what he's brought back and how it's changed his life. So that's next week, John Davis. Woo-wee. But before I get on to the topic of today's show, which is self-inflicted wounds, and the reason why that is a topic is because I spent most of last week shooting myself in the foot. What? The foot, the head, the hand. It was bumping against the wall, one wall after another. And I realized that it is all self-inflicted, that whatever my stress is, whatever I'm shaken by, the reason why I'm having such angst is all between the ears, is all in my head, is all a program. Oh, I can't wait to share it. And if you've listened to me, you know I'm full disclosure here. Just because I'm a happiness specialist and I think that I get extra, I think the universe throws in extra hurdles just to see if I can jump them. Thanks, universe, for caring so much. It's one minefield after another. I'm telling you, what happened yesterday? Let me see if I can remember it. But before I remember it, I want to. These are the questions that I received this week. Here we go. Number 1. Oh, and the other thing I want to share. Just because someone asks you a question doesn't mean you're obligated to answer. And I've learned that the hard way. But just because somebody asks me a question, that doesn't mean that I need to answer them. And in fact, if I'm not inspired to answer, then I won't. Oh, by the way, happy Cinco de Mayo. I just saw the prompt come up. Happy Cinco de Mayo. Whatever that, I don't even know why I got off track. Okay. And the obligation to answer questions or the obligation to respond to someone else, my response is always, I'm not inspired to answer. Not, I don't want to answer. It's none of your business. Why are you asking? It's just, I'm not inspired to answer. Okay, here we go. But these are 4 questions that I am inspired to answer. Number 1, what is the hardest thing you've had to ask for? What is the hardest thing you've had to ask for? And that instantly came, the answer is money. And number 1, let me just share with you, that's a program. Having any kind of resistance to answering or to asking for help. Oh, I love that. I had 5 people in the queue, and then I just went back to the queue, and guess what? Only 1 is left. And is that personal? Absolutely not. But let me get back to this. What is the hardest thing you've had to ask for? And it's money. And so, but the reason why it's hard, it's because there's a whole programming in my head around asking for money. I want to ask you, my dear audience, what is the hardest thing you have to ask for? And do you know that asking for anything, assistance, help, money, and any resistance behind that is because of a program or whatever I'm feeling about how does that make me feel about me asking for money or asking for help? And I have to say that it still is an issue. It still is scratch the issue. There still is resistance behind it, but not like it used to be. And that goes for anything, for fear or for whatever scratch the you, whatever I find that. Oh, another big one with me is the shame. Is this meaning when I say shame, this this vibration, because all of vibrations are the same. Either it's a low vibration or it's a high vibration, period. So labeling all of the emotions, shame, anger, uh, sadness, it still is a low vibration. So I'm going to just separate low or high vibration. So let me back off that shame thing. A low vibration, the challenges and what I hate. Well, scratch that. What my mind, what my ego hates is doing it anyway. The ego, the mind feeds on keeping me in the same place. And the only way to crawl out of that, I'm just speaking for myself, the only way to crawl out of that hole or that trap or not wanting to push forward is just to do it. And the more I practice asking for help or asking for money, and I'm not talking about asking the universe for money. I'm talking about, hey, I'll never forget, this was when I was in California. So it has to be maybe 9 years ago. And in California, the property taxes were, ooh, wow. The property tax on that house was almost $10,000 a year. Almost close to it, 9 something. And I just remember not wanting to ask my mother. And so I asked a friend that I knew had it. Now, but property taxes, if you don't pay them, the penalty on property taxes is crazy. I mean, it's hundreds of dollars the more you let that go. And so I asked, and I believe I was asking for maybe 4,000 because I had most of it. And I asked, and he said no. Well, actually, he said something else that, and I said, "Are you kidding? You're not going to help me out?" You always know your quote unquote friends when they're challenged. You never know anyone when the sun is out and the birds are singing, but when somebody when they're challenged, that's when you really know who they are. And if you want to know the truth, hold on a second. If you want to know the truth, if someone had asked me, would he have helped you? And I had to bet my life on it. I was hoping against hope. Excuse me. I'm going to have to get one of those cough buttons. I was hoping against hope, but no. The answer is no. Said no. I'm not going to help you, and then proceeded to because this is somebody that I knew for years. Proceeded to bring up all of the past arguments, and I told you it was years ago. Past arguments and past what I said and what I did. I mean, from years and years and years ago. You know people that like to hold grudges, those kind of people. By the way, I was one of those people. I could hold a grudge for years, but I digress. So asking for money and then being told no. But the asking, so it's not about the person that says yes or no. It's about the ability to ask for help. And the answer is yes, money was always an issue. And now that I'm thinking about it, I am going to practice letting that go, letting that program go. One of the things, as far as asking people for help out in the world, whether it's to carry something or help me with something around the house, that's easy. But something about that asking for money is I can feel the resistance. Boy, did I go on a long time with that question. Okay, number 2, share a meal that makes you feel both happy and healthy. Well, that was a program question from the app, from Noom Vibe, and quite frankly, that's a program that I'm feeling a certain way because of what I'm eating. Happy and healthy. No meal is going to make me feel happy or healthy. All of that is a program that is mental. And I get it. Vegetables you may feel better after eating vegetables as opposed to a big thick steak. I get that. But this happy and healthy question, so that's a program question, and I choose not to answer it. Number 3, oh, here we go. This is a good one. I like this one. What surprises you most about your family? I don't, okay. This is what I'm practicing now. Everyone that I meet is nothing to do with blood. Everyone I meet is part of my family. It's a universal family. It's a human family. So what surprises me the most about my human family, all of y'all, is the deep programming, is the programming that some people aren't even aware of. The programming from childhood that makes a person act a certain way and they don't even know why, or have a belief and they don't even know why or where they got the belief, but they're going to hold on to that belief for dear life. So what surprises me is how deep the program runs and how the majority, don't take this personally, my dear audience, how 98% of the population don't realize that their responses, their behaviors, their emotions, their feelings are based on a program. They're, this idea of success is based on a program. And what I've been researching recently is that you are a success just by being here. There's been some videos that I've watched that the chances are, the millions, the billions, the trillions chances that you are here right now living and breathing in human form, the odds are mind-boggling. So just the fact that you are here is a success, that you are living in this moment is success. But try to tell the masses that. And then the last question, and then I'll get to the topic. Boy, oh boy, can I drag the introduction out, can't I? How would you describe the wilderness to someone that has only lived in the city their whole life? That's a question right out of the left field. Well, living in the city for most of my life, and then 5 years, almost 5 years in the middle of the forest. I can only describe it as it affected me. And I have to say that living in the middle of the forest after being a city girl, I've never been so afraid in my life. I was afraid to go outside at night. I was afraid to go out on the deck during the day because of the lizards, because of the size of the bugs. It was probably a year or more of living in fear of what was in the forest, or what I didn't know, or what I didn't see in the forest. But that was just my experience. Some people would, from the city and the forest, would just flow real easily into it. But yeah, I was afraid, constant fear for over a year. I mean, I remember going outside and seeing a bug or lizard, and I would jump every time I would go outside. In fact, this is what was it called? It was a banana slug. Have you ever seen a banana slug before? Those things, they look like snakes. They're huge. There was always something. Don't even start with the frogs that just would pop up anywhere. And oh yeah, over a year of fear. So that's how I would describe my experience in living in the forest. Thank you for the questions. Let's get to the topic. 30 minutes? Yikes. Thank you, my dear audience, for being patient with me. Here we go. Again, if you want to call in and speak with me live, the number is area code 646-564-9619, area code 646-564-9619. We have people that are in the queue. If you want to speak with me live, press the number 1. Again, I'm streaming live on YouTube, on my YouTube channel. But here we go with today's topic. 30 minutes into the show. Boy, oh boy, I get it. The topic starts with self-inflicted wounds and the illusion of stress. How many of you put yourself on a deadline or let's see, how do I say that? How many of you cause your own stress? Or scratch that, not cause, are the cause of your own stress. How many of you are the cause of these emotions, this have to get it done, this whole program, and I get it. I get having, you know what? Let me say this. The only deadline that I'm going to accept it, because I have to, is a court deadline, when you have 30 days to respond to a complaint, or you have 20 days to reply. Let's see, or a deadline to get on an airplane. But anything else, this, and put your seatbelts on for this, please. These goals, 6-month goals, 3-month goals, all of that is self-inflicted. Now, I'm not saying to throw away your goals, but do you realize, scratch the you. I realize that, and I said this book that's coming out, Program for Unhappiness, which I've been talking about for 6 months. And I remember last year at the end of December, I said, oh, it's going to be out in 2 months. And then it wasn't out in 2 months. And then there's another 2 months. For whatever reason, the formatting, the changing formatters, the book cover design. I mean, there's always something. And I had put a deadline in my own head. It's got to be, because I said it's going to be published in April. It's got to happen. I'm retired. But it taught me a lesson. Number 1, to let go, and to not only let go, but eliminate all of these self-imposed expectations of self. That's just another program. Now, there are some of you, you high achievers, nothing wrong with it. But and if you are a personality type that, yeah, I gotta stay busy, because there are people that have to stay busy. And if they don't stay busy, they feel very uncomfortable. No judgment here, but there is a type. And I have to say, I'm a recovering one of those. But the truth is that we only have this one chance. We are here just for a moment, just for a blink of an eye. And how do you want to spend your time? I get it. I get it. This go, this, I can't even imagine having so many things to do in a day that now listen, here we go. Let me just back up a little bit. If you can accomplish 100 things a day and still have this energy, still have this vibration of peace, still vibrate contentment, or do you go into, because you can feel the difference in your body. I can feel the difference when I'm up here with this imagined deadline that I had for myself about getting this book out. It's supposed to be out in April. I've been talking about it for months and now it's not. And then I switched it to, okay, May the 1st. May the 1st. It's got to be out on May the 1st. And then, of course, there was a glitch. I found another error that needed to be corrected. Goes back to the formatter. And I'm putting myself under all of this pressure. Now, if you're used to that, or you feel comfortable with that, more power to you. All I'm saying is that there is another way. You can still give yourself a deadline, but here we go. Be okay with letting go of attaching to a deadline. And is there a reason? Scratch that. What is the reason I was attached? It has to be out in April. This book has to be published May the 1st. Now, what is it? May the 5th? Self-inflicted stress, self-inflicted anxiety, self-inflicted, all of it based on a program. And that letting go, letting yourself off the hook, especially even if other people are quote unquote counting on you, scratch that. Let me just speak for myself. Counting on me, it just takes one phone call. It's not going to happen today. I love you. Next moment, goodbye. It's the truth is, this book, the book that I said, Program for Unhappiness, Exposing the Untold Truth, is going to be published on the universe's time, not on my timeline, on the universe's timeline. But nobody is talking about that. The universe, you use whatever term you want, God, source, higher power. The animals, I love to look out in nature for examples. The animals are on the universe's timeline. They are in the spring. The animals are mating. In fact, right now I see the geese and their little babies running behind. I mean, there is a timeline that the universe has. And that timeline is not only for nature, the timeline is also for me. And if it's for me, it's for you too, is for me. Whenever this book is supposed to be published, it's not my timeline. And how do I know that? How do you know that, Rebecca? Well, thank you for asking. How I know that is it's not published. It hasn't happened. Whatever is going to happen will happen in the universe's time. Period. And me pressing and pushing and forcing something to happen when it's not time is self-inflicted stress, self-inflicted anxiety, self-inflicted. I gave up after 3 deadlines that I gave to myself, April, May 1st, and now it's May 5th. I gave up. There is no deadline. I'm going to keep chugging, keep moving, keep it going, keep checking, sending back the draft, making sure it's the way I want it to look. And then whatever happens, whenever that day is going to be the date of the publishing date. I don't know about you, but for me, that it was a feeling of have you it was a feeling of shoulders down. I was walking around here with my shoulders up to my ears, and I'm a happiness specialist. Shoulders up to my ears for what? Those self-inflicted having expectations of self. How does that feel? Having expectations of self based on what? That's my question. Based on what? A program? What the world sees? I had to really, in fact, when I teach the classes, The Truth About Happiness, the first day, and I've shared this before, the first day of class, I hand everybody a present. I hand everybody an object, and I said, in this package is the answer to all of your challenges, all of your struggles for the rest of your life. And in that package is a mirror. That's how powerful you are. You can add more peace, more contentment to your life, or you can do the opposite. And one of the things, okay, let me ask you this question. Does anybody out there get embarrassed? Or just raise your hand. I can feel you. Oh, look at all those hands. The only reason why people get embarrassed, shame or whatever that's called, or whatever that feeling is because of caring what other people think. I care what someone else thinks. So I'm going to be embarrassed. I'm going to get embarrassed because I care what the world. Here I am. The book, I've been writing this book forever anyway, by the way, and now it's getting closer and closer, and I open my big mouth. It's going to be out. And it's not. It's just not ready yet. And even last week on the show, I said, oh, by next week's show, the book will be ready the book. I'll be able to send you a link for the book. And it's not ready. I hope that you are finding some value in the message. The stress, the anxiousness is all self-inflicted. And let me get back to this stress thing. And let me get back to this I call it a tsunami of stories, a tsunami of emotions, of a tsunami of endless, just constant in the head. You know what I'm talking about when the tsunami hits of stories that, oh, it's just overwhelming. If I've said it once, I've said it a million times. Separate yourself. Scratch that. Practice separating yourself from the stories in your head. Practice separating yourself from the thoughts. Practice separating yourself from all of that, that kind of energy. And I've neglected to share again, but one of my favorite teachers now, I mean, I'm on this guy every night before I go to sleep, and in the morning I listen to him. His name is Moji, Mooji. Another level. He's on another level. And he gives the example, this isn't my example, and he gives the example of two birds in a tree, and two birds in a tree, and one bird, and then they both are sitting in nests. So one bird is, and they're on the same branch, but just one is, down the road, and the other bird is, they're on the same branch, but not next to each other. So they can see what the other ones are doing. Now, this is Moji's example. This isn't mine. And so he's talking about there's this one bird that is constantly moving. He's collecting worms, he's collecting more sticks. He's always on the go. Go, 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 bird, go. Remember that children's book, Go Dog Go? Go, bird, go. And this bird is constantly has something to do. In fact, he wakes up with a long list of things to do. And from the sunrise to the sunset, this bird is active. And that's isn't that what the program world teaches and shares? Be productive. Do. You gotta keep moving. If you keep going, keep accomplishing. Keep accomplishing. If you're not accomplishing, you're not doing anything. What you want your life to mean something, don't you? You want to leave a legacy. Don't even get me started on this legacy bullshit. Oh, did I say bullshit? You want to leave something, don't you? Accomplish. If you're not accomplishing, you're just, what a waste. If you're watching TV all day, what a wasted life. Well, I'll tell you this. I'm not going to make a judgment about a life that is full or is wasted. That's a judgment. All judgments subtract from happiness. And who's making that judgment anyway? But back to the birds. So this one bird is busy doing, and the other bird is just sitting in there in his nest, looking at that other bird. Looking at that bird, busy. I should have said bees. Busy as a bee. Bird is busy as a bee. That's actually kind of funny to me. And all the bird is doing is just watching and witnessing that bird that's busy. And that bird that's so busy is anxious and stressed and that kind of energy. But the bird that's just watching is got his little feet, his little bird legs propped up, crossed, bird wings behind his head, chilling. But guess what? They're the same bird. The same bird. Oh, by the way, when I said that legacy is a bullshit, half the people in the queue, they're gone. One of the things that I do, and I've been teaching these Truth About Happiness classes for 15 years in California and Oregon and now Nevada. And one of the things I know that I do is push buttons and trigger. Just to circle back to the legacy, that's another program. It's another program that the masses believe that their legacy or what they do will live on. Everyone, scratch that. It's just a matter of time. but you will be forgotten. And this building of a legacy, you know what that is? That's just more gurus, motivational speakers, all out there getting make sure you got a legacy. Make sure you leave a legacy. You're here for a moment. The legacy thing is just, come on, is all ego driven, is all ego authored, is all ego, mind created. Mm. Okay, I closed my eyes just for a second. Okay, so let's get back to the bird is the same bird. Now, you can accomplish and you can do all of that, all of the what the busy bird is doing. But which bird is going to experience more contentment? Question. Can you, okay, you know what? You know what? Let me back up a little bit because the universe just gave me a message. Can you have the vibration of contentment and still be busy doing, accomplishing? The answer is yes. Yes, you can. So, what I'm really talking about is all of those in the head, in the living in the head with all of the stories. The, the bird that is sitting back and watching the other bird consumed by giving power to the stories. That is the practice. Separating yourself from all of those mind in stories. The stories are an illusion. The stories are not the truth. This thing called stress is all self-inflicted, is all a program. Mm. How do you know that? Thank you for asking. When I was talking about the deadline that I gave myself, the expectations and the deadline I gave myself for this book, as soon as I became more conscious and more aware and let go and said, you know what? This book is going to be out whenever it's time. There's no, well, May 1st is past. There's no time frame. There's no deadline. It's going to be out when the universe deems it's time. Did you hear me? When the universe deems that it's time. It's just like having a baby. The baby is born when it's time and not one moment sooner, unless it's unless it's induced. And even when it's induced, that is when it's time. Any questions? Do I have any questions or any comments? Let me look in the queue. Anyone want to join? Again, if you want to join me live, the number is area code 646-564-9619. Again, area code 646-564-9619. And next week, I'm going to have a guest, John Davis, live, near-death experience, explained, shared. I cannot wait. Any comments? Did I lose everyone? Let me wrap it up. Wrapping it all up. The stress, the anxiety, all of it is a program that continues to flourish when not recognized and not released. I can either I can either travel. Oh, and the other thing, the other practice is when I am stressed or where am I living? Where am I focused? I'm focused in the future. Stress comes from a future, the future. Living in the present moment, it's impossible. Scratch that, impossible. Stress comes from pulling something in from the past and then putting it also in the future. I'm not living in the present moment when I am stressed or I am anxious. Any questions? Any comments? Well, that's the end of today's show. Thank you for listening. Reality Spirituality is heard every Sunday. Oh, and I forgot, of course, right at the end of the show, there's a live show that my son and I do every Saturday morning. It's called Mother and Son Making Sense Out of Nonsense, plus more, every Saturday morning at 9:15 Pacific Standard Time, live on YouTube, on my YouTube channel, Rebecca Norrington. That's the end of today's show. Thank you for listening. Reality Spirituality Radio is heard every Saturday, every Sunday. And next week, we're going to have a guest, John Davis. My website is RebeccaNorrington.com. Follow me on Twitter at RL Norrington. My LinkedIn, I'm on LinkedIn, and my Instagram handle is Reality Spirituality. My YouTube channel, Rebecca Norrington, is a work in progress. However, I do have a lot more videos and a lot more content I'm putting on. The first book, Reality Spirituality, The Truth About Happiness, can be purchased on Amazon. And the book that I am going to be publishing in whenever is going to be out, hopefully, day, 2 days, 3 days, whatever the universe says. It's called Program for Unhappiness, Exposing the Untold Truth. Until next time, my dear audience, I want you to remember who the hell you are. You are a physical extension of the universe. Your conscious energy, which is always evolving, always changing, always growing. Love is patient and love is kind. Practice being kind and practice being patient with yourself. Remember, you cannot have a happy ending to an unhappy journey. It is about the journey. You've been listening to Reality Spirituality Radio with yours truly, happiness specialist, inner peace practitioner, Rebecca L. Norrington. And remember, happiness is a practice skill. And I promise you, the more you practice, the more you're going to experience that energy of contentment, the energy of peace, the energy of peace. Did I say peace twice? Probably. Your experience reflects, your life experience reflects on what you practice in every single moment. Have a conscious week. Thank you for listening.
90 seconds. You got a question for it's time to get some answers, baby. Now we get real. And time to get down. Yeah, you are real good. Now, real good.